How Indigenous Peoples Day came about and why it matters today. For centuries, the U.S. celebrated Christopher Columbus as the intrepid explorer who discovered the Americas, a symbol of the American ideals of entrepreneurship and innovation. The story of the Italian navigator taught to generations of schoolchildren is shrouded in mythology. But for the indigenous peoples who inhabited the Americas long before Columbus ever arrived, Columbus and his namesake holiday represent something much more sinister: the violent colonization of their lands and the brutal treatment of their people. The movement to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day has been decades in the making. As a result of advocacy by Native American activists, many states and localities now observe the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples Day instead of, or in addition to, Columbus Day. That shift has since reached the federal level. In 2021, President Joe Biden became the first president to formally acknowledge Indigenous Peoples Day. It's long overdue, David Wheaton, Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe, told CNN. When you look back on all that we've endured and sacrificed, all the systemic oppression at the hands of various levels of governments and agencies and programs and everything else, the fact that we are still here is amazing. Here's the history behind Indigenous Peoples Day, and what some Native Americans say the holiday means for them. Indigenous Peoples Day came about as an alternative to Columbus Day. To understand the history of Indigenous Peoples Day, it's important to understand how Columbus Day came about. Columbus had been celebrated unofficially around the U.S. since the late 1700s. In 1892, President Benjamin Harrison issued a proclamation commemorating the 400th anniversary of his landing. As waves of Italian immigrants arrived in the U.S. in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, they faced prejudice and discrimination.